everyone, my name is Nishin. I'm a senior UX designer based in Canada. I recently had a portfolio presentation interview that was in person. The recruiter asked me to create slides based on my portfolio website. I'm gonna just walk you through that and share some of the most important things that you need to focus on while creating your presentation. Let's go. At first, you need to introduce yourself. I made it in a way that I just talked about my hobbies, my skills, my visual design, drawing, painting background, and my immigration journey so that I can show them I have resilience skills, I have an eye for detail, and a lot of things that I can realize from me. So this is the first slide of my portfolio. I interviewed Conrad Group, and that is my pet. So this is the thing that can add fun and humor to your portfolio and show your personality in your life. I said this is my support system, my pet Caramel. And also notice how I added macOS and iOS components from Apple library to just show how creative I am and just to make my portfolio different. This is the agenda. And then here's my pictures from Iran, my home country. I just talked about my immigration journey. These are my portfolio notes, so I just went through them. I talked about how challenging it was that I moved to a new country to create my life from scratch in UX UI design. And after that, I talked about my education, so my BA degree in graphic design from Art University of Iran and of Isfahan, and then my media communications degree from Humber. And then I talked about my painting skills. These are my watercolor drawings and my acrylic painting. I just said my approach to UX is inspired by my paintings because users perceive aesthetically pleasing products as more usable even though they're not usable, and because it gives them some positive emotions and it shows them that they can trust the product. So maybe somehow attach your personality to design, to UX design. And these are my children's book illustrations. I also talked about my community contribution to the design community. I talked about my YouTube channel, even though it is small and it's growing, but I wanted to mention that, and also my love for content creation. Oh, sorry. That has songs. So yeah, my content creation for TikTok, Instagram, and my Medium, Substack newsletter, articles on Medium. And this is my UX design journey. So I talked about my experience at different agencies or corporations and how I started so that they can have an idea of my experience in UX design. And these are my works. For example, for each company, I have the works, my highlight of my projects in front of them so that it's clear for them. Then it starts with my first project. But before I start the project's case study, I just talked about the company. So talk about the company that you worked for, talk about the constraints that the company had, the challenges, your specific role, and how many platforms does the company have, which teams did you work with. For example, these are my marketing and sales team collaborations that I worked on, my product and strategy teams projects, and then it starts with my first project. And also check out how I added animations. So I spent time and just create the video animations because they're so eye-catching and it can show your interaction skills, your motion design skills. It's bonus, and I promise you it can have a positive effect on hiring managers. And this is my first project, and I said this is a project I'm proud of. Just be confident and sell yourself. You need to have selling skills. And then This is the overview of the project, and I'm not gonna go over into the details of the project because it's gonna get boring for you. But yeah, I'm just gonna share the tips that helped me. So first of all, having the motion design here and giving an overview, and then my collaboration skills. Hiring managers want to know how you collaborated with cross-functional teams, because in the actual UX design job, you need to work closely with the business stakeholders, the product owners, the UX researchers, content writers, accessibility team. What else? Lots of people that you need to work with. It's not just creating UI designs. You don't actually create anything maybe, because every company has their own design system. So there are lots of collaboration skills that you need to show. So that's why I have this slide, and then the main UX issues, and then internal workshop that I had and the main takeaways of that, and then the data analytics. You might notice I didn't follow the traditional UX process, research, creating personas or wireframing or visual design, and then user testing, and then iterations, and then prototyping. I made it specific to my projects, and I made it personal. So really go in depth of the projects that you did. Don't follow the generic UX process because it doesn't help you to stand out. This is the number of clicks that the left menu navigation had. I needed to redesign and reorder the list items in the menu, so I had to check out the data, and then the analysis that I had from the different products to see their design patterns and the standard way to go through that. You see, I didn't had any user interviews or persona creations. And then this is the content categorization, how I thought about critically ordering the items and everything about that. And then so this is the audit, this is the information architecture content model. These are my iterations on global tabs and also different interaction states. Hover, focus, you can have them, it really helps. This is the process. There were pushback from the developer and business team. You can talk about the challenges across the project and how it made you feel and what was your solution for that problem. And then these are the prototypes that I prepared for our A/B testing, so a collaboration with user testers and our researchers on the team. And these are my design assumptions, tasks, and then here is the prototype of my final design draft that I created. So I'm just going over the hover effects of some of the links. And then, so that was desktop. This is the mobile prototype. I think it takes time for it to load. Okay, nice. Keep in mind to have the prototype of your product as well and have lots of visual designs of the project that you did. This is the accessibility collaboration, how I communicated with our accessibility team through Figma comments. After that, this is the developer handoff documentation, visual design documentation, and the color rules and lots of other things, other UI design, visual design things. The grid, the interaction documentation, the results after the launch, call center complaints that they needed us to add the total balance. This is the redesign of the homepage of the banking app. Here I showed that I added that. Talk about the business impact and what happened after you launched the project. Were there any complaints or were there any positive effects? I talk about the user engagement and satisfaction increase by 25% and also the conversion rates for new credit card signups. And yeah, this is the next phase. You can also talk about what are you planning to do for the next phase. This is very helpful. Also, add humor to my first point. Add some fun to lighten the mood in an interview. Nothing should be all about work, and this way you can just show you're comfortable and you're fun and you want to make everything in balance. So this was so funny that I added, and yeah, it really helps for them to laugh. This is the design system project. So many designers also overlook the design systems and they just have other projects. I really recommend you to highlight your design system work. It really helps, and just show your documentation skills or show what was the issues in your design system or how did you use the design system. I talked about the structure of our design system and all of the variables that we worked on and created with the other designer, and my methodology for the design system creation was atomic design. You can talk a lot for your design system. And then how we started with atoms, we created the buttons and links, and then we have those atoms into more blocks like components to have them in molecules, and then we've created the organisms, input fields. We had lots of components, but these are the main ones that I wanted to show them, that I am careful of different states and different interactions and all of those possible scenarios for each component. And then the business impact of the design system library that can save a ton of time and effort of our both teams, the developers and designers, and yeah, lots of that. And then the thank you note. So after this presentation, they asked me a lot of hard questions to just see if I can survive. A touch of personality to your portfolio presentation, make it fun, engaging. You can go back to the video and take screenshots of my slides to just have it as inspiration for you. Just to recap, first of all, make it personal, tell your story, introduce yourself in a way to show your transferable skills. Number 2, highlight your collaboration and cross-functional teamwork. Number 3, don't overlook the design system work, have something about that. And number 4, make your project specific and personalized, don't really follow the traditional UX design process. And number 5, make your portfolio engaging with having some fun slides and gifts. If you need portfolio feedback, career tips, or any questions from me, you can book me for one-on-one consultations. The link is in the description below. Thank you so much guys for watching this video. Bye.